What if one simple phrase could reduce many of the daily power struggles between adults and children? Most parents and teachers have experienced it. No. Why not? That's not fair. But everyone else gets to, and suddenly a simple conversation turns into an argument. In this episode, we explore a small language shift that can dramatically change the tone of interactions with children. It's not a trick, it's not manipulation, it's simply a calmer way of communicating boundaries that often reduces defensiveness and resistance. You'll discover why children often react so strongly to the word no, how a simple change in wording can reduce arguments, the connection between boundaries and emotional leadership, a practical phrase that parents and teachers can begin using immediately. Sometimes the most powerful parenting tools aren't complicated at all. Sometimes they're simply different words. Join me for this thought-provoking episode and learn how one phrase may help create calmer conversations, fewer power struggles, and stronger relationships with the children in your life.
Welcome to the Bill Corbett Podcast, Creating Cooperative Kids, offering tips for parents interested in increasing the cooperation from their children and teens. Bill is answering questions from his email box, so please feel free to email him at bill@cooperativekids.com. You can also find many of his resources at billcorbettsbooks.com. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, share, and like this podcast. Here is Bill Corbett.
The parenting or teacher phrase that reduces power struggles. Many parenting struggles don't begin with what we say. They begin with how children hear it. The word no is sometimes necessary, of course. But when children hear it repeatedly throughout the day, it can start to feel less like guidance and more like opposition. Some children immediately push back. Others argue. Some melt down emotionally, and many simply stop listening altogether. That's why one small language shift can make such a big difference. Instead of saying, no, we're not buying that, no, you can't do that, no, I'm not taking you there. Try saying, I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to spend money on that right now. I'm not willing for you to do that. I'm not willing to drive you there. At first glance, it may seem like a tiny change, but emotionally it changes everything. Why this response works: when a parent says no, children often experience it as a wall. But when a parent calmly says, I'm not willing to do that, the message becomes personal ownership rather than punishment or control. You are not attacking the child. You are not shaming them. You are not inviting a debate. You are simply expressing your boundary. That calm ownership matters. Children learn that parents are allowed to have limits, preferences, energy levels, and decisions that do not require endless explanations. It reduces power struggles. One of the reasons children continue arguing is because no often sounds negotiable. Kids instinctively look for cracks. Why not? That's not fair. Everyone else gets to. But you said maybe before, and suddenly the conversation becomes a courtroom. But I'm not willing to do that changes the tone completely. It communicates, this is my decision, and I'm comfortable owning it. Not angry, not defensive, not harsh, just steady. It models healthy boundaries. Perhaps most importantly, this phrase teaches children something valuable they will need throughout life. Healthy people have boundaries. Future adults need to know they are allowed to say, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not willing to participate in that. That doesn't work for me. Children learn boundaries partly by watching ours. Calm is the key. Of course, no parenting phrase works magically every time. Some children will still complain. Some will protest loudly. That's normal. The goal is not immediate obedience. The goal is calm leadership. When parents stop trying to win every interaction and instead communicate with clarity and confidence, many daily battles begin losing momentum. And often, the quieter the response becomes, the less fuel there is for conflict. Sometimes the most powerful parenting tools are not complicated techniques. Sometimes they are simply calmer words.
As we wrap up today's episode, remember that effective parenting and teaching often comes down to small shifts that create big results. The phrase, I'm not willing to do that, isn't a magic solution. Children will still have feelings. They may still be disappointed, frustrated, or even angry at times. That's a normal part of growing up. The real power of this response is that it allows adults to communicate limits without creating unnecessary power struggles. Instead of engaging in debates, defending every decision, or relying on repeated no's, we calmly take ownership of our boundaries and model the kind of respectful communication we hope children will learn for themselves. When children see adults expressing healthy limits with confidence and kindness, they learn an important life lesson: it is okay to have boundaries. It is okay to make decisions that align with your values. And it is possible to do both without anger, threats, or control. This week, try experimenting with this phrase in 1 or 2 situations. Notice how it feels. Notice how your child responds. You may find that the conversation becomes a little calmer, a little shorter, and a lot less exhausting. You've been listening to Bill Corbett's Creating Cooperative Kids podcast. If you found this discussion helpful, please share it with a parent, teacher, grandparent, or caregiver who could use one more tool in their parenting toolbox. Until next time, remember, children learn as much from how we communicate as they do from what we say. If you'd like more help from Bill, visit his website, cooperativekids.com. You can also check out his nearly 70 books now on Amazon by going to billcorbett'sbooks.com. This podcast is the property of Bill Corbett and Cooperative Kids Publishing. Copyright 2026. All rights reserved.